strong, and we're still the one. WSIC News Talk Now.
It's 11:06 on WSIC News Radio, and you're listening to We're Just Saying with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. I'd like to be part of our show, 844 Studio 4. We are streaming live on the WSIC News website, YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and all points in between. Happy New Year, Senator Sawyer.
Happy New Year to you. I see that you've renamed our show.
What?
The introduction was We're Just Seeing.
Did I do that?
A little bit.
So clearly one of your New Year's resolutions wasn't not to give me crap.
Right.
Is that okay?
Right.
All right, good. At least we're starting out with things we know.
Well, let me tell you the first New Year's resolution I'm doing well with.
What's
I
that?
started diet 1 of 52 of the year.
Well done.
Yes,
well
exactly.
done. Yes, for this week.
Yeah. This week's diet is going well.
How's this week's diet going?
It's a little close, a little shaky here, but going through it as I will do. And there's always next week to start again.
There is always next week. I actually have been doing dry January. Believe
Me
it or
too.
not. So maybe a modified version of it. I've decided I'm not going to have anything to drink at home. I figured that's a good place to start. Work
David,
my way in.
You have about 20 jobs. You're hardly ever at home.
That's not the point. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I feel like I can make this work. I kid, of course.
Yes.
But it is great to see you again. Did you have a good holiday?
I did. I had a fabulous holiday. How about yourself?
It was good. Well, actually, you know what? This is a Republican show. We can say Christmas.
Yes.
You had a good Christmas.
I did have a great Christmas and a great New Year. It was fun with family. It was slow, all in the right places.
So any actual New Year's resolutions?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I am going to hit unsubscribe on all the emails that come to my inbox.
Okay, well, that's probably good.
I don't know about you. I mean, do you have a lot of emails?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and I have several email boxes, and I can't really unsubscribe from the Senate stuff, but for my personal and my business and my campaign, so I'm checking 4 emails at all times. And when you get the same kind of junk email over and over again, I'm thinking, well, maybe if I unsubscribe, I can limit the amount of email that comes to one of my 4 boxes.
I like the theory. I really do. I mean, my problem is that I just go through and I will get in the span of an hour, 45 emails, and probably 40 of them are junk.
Yeah.
And so I have to go through and I have to delete them and everything like that. And my Gmail consistently yells at me that I'm running out of storage. And so before the end of the year, I was sitting in front of my computer. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be good.
Yeah.
I'm going to delete some stuff out of my Gmail. So I searched, how can I delete date ranges? So I went out, figured it out, doing. So basically I had emails going back to 2017.
Oh.
Because I do not delete anything. I keep every single email because I never know when I might need it.
You know what? In campaigns, that's actually helped
Yeah.
I mean, you can pull some stuff up. You always research things, and now you've let those go.
I have from 2017 I deleted 2017 to 2020. And just I let it go, and it took some because I figured everything about the world pretty much changed after COVID, right? Everything just sort of reset. At least that's what I'm telling myself.
So there is another option. I know I've seen your sneaker collection, so you're not a man who denies himself of many things.
What?
Why didn't you just purchase?
You saying
more?
I don't need shoes?
No,
you
no,
saying
no.
I don't
no.
need shoes? I think that's what you're saying.
I'm saying you're not afraid to spend $1.
I'm not. You know what? That's unfair.
No, it's not. No, but listen, there is an option on Gmail where you can pay for more storage.
That just seems like a waste.
Okay.
That just seems like a waste.
Okay.
Besides, if I pay for more storage, that's less I can put towards my shoes.
Okay.
Actually,
fair.
that's not fair. I can't back that up. I would still spend the same on my
Yeah,
shoes.
you would. You absolutely would.
I have a problem. I have a weakness. My wife will attest to that. But maybe my New Year's resolution needs to be to I would say to get a better handle on my emails and my Gmail account, but really what's more likely is I'll just pay to add the storage.
There you go. There you go. Hey, you know who can't pay for something right now?
Oh, professional radio transition. Well done.
A Minnesota Congressman, Dean Phillips, or Mariana Williamson.
Oh, yes.
You know why I don't know their name very well?
Why?
Because they're not going to be on the Democratic ballot in North Carolina.
Marianne Williams, she's run like 2 or 3 times, right?
I believe so.
She's like a spiritual
thought leader and author.
How does one become a thought leader? Like, is that like something they advertise on Indeed for?
I think
looking for qualified thought leader, needs to have expertise in XYZ, salary ranges between, 50 grand and 100 grand.
there must be some like secret society that you go in, and it's the same society that determines who are thought leaders and which month is pizza day or which day is pizza day. Who decides that today is National Pizza Day?
That's fair.
I
That is
mean,
fair. Or National Margarita Day or National
yeah.
Burrito Day, or because everything has a day these days.
Absolutely. I mean, I need to find out who these people are so I too can become a thought leader and have a National Vicky Sawyer Day.
Vicky, you've been a state senator. A thought leader may be too high. That may be reaching too far. I'm not sure you can make that one.
Well, this poor thought leader, she cannot get on the ballot in North Carolina.
Well, and this is what's interesting to me. I did not know this until your crack show research came through at 9:30 this morning. And so I did not know this, that in general, that the criteria for being able to get on the ballot was simply you had to have, if someone saw your name, that I guess media and or recognition needed to say, oh yeah, this is someone running for president. You need to have some so your name need to be recognizable. That was the sole criteria for being able to get on the ballot for a lot of these people. And apparently the State Board of Elections in North Carolina, which is of course run by Democrats, decided that neither Congressman Dean Phillips or Marianne qualified in that realm to be on the ballot.
Well, you know what? I am not afraid to throw off on the State Board of Elections, but on this one, I have to have their back.
Really?
So.
See, and they say bipartisanship is dead.
I know.
Look at you.
You should see my Twitter lately. Yeah. Or my ex. So actually, it is the function of the state parties, the Republican and the Democrat parties, and I guess Constitution and Green and all those folks, their executive committees submit the names of those they want to see on the presidential ballot. So the State Board of Elections simply just said, it isn't our role or overreach to put other people on the ballot against Biden because that is solely the function of the Democrat Party. So if you are in a Democrat and you would like to vote for someone else than Joe Biden, well, your party said you're out of luck.
Well, there you go then.
Yeah.
So democracy democracy dead in the Democrat Party?
Well, I thought they were the party of democracy.
Well, I mean, it is Democrat,
Yeah.
that was supposed to be the premise behind the name, right?
Right.
Well, but that's also the party where words don't have meanings, like male, female, boy, girl, things like that. So, I mean, they obviously can adapt it to where they want to go, right?
Yeah, it also is the party that is having electeds step out of their rulemaking authority and not allow Trump to be on ballots in certain areas too, right?
Which is
in
just
certain
crazy
states.
to me. It was just crazy to me. You're talking about the Secretary of State of Maine,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Colorado.
Colorado, the same. They just decided that Trump did not. That they have made an executive ruling, I guess, from their standpoint, that Trump did commit insurrection, though he has not been charged, tried, or convicted.
Charged,
of
but
any of
not
those
tried
things.
or convicted.
Yeah, exactly. And so, for something he hasn't been convicted of, but does not belong on the ballot because of their learned legal experience.
Yeah, and so this is where I'm always so fascinated by the Democratic Party because they say one thing and people believe what they say, but they do something entirely different.
Yeah, I know. Imagine that.
Imagine that. And unless you're watching, then you really don't know the hypocrisy that lies within that party.
No, 100%. Well, I mean, I think that, at the end of the day, Democrat's going to Democrat, right? You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio. We'll be right back.
There's more We're Just Saying with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer on the way from the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Happy New Year, WSIC family. Here's your WSIC community calendar. Celebrate Kane Center for the Arts' first anniversary gala, along with Broadway star Mandy Gonzalez. Dinner and a show this Saturday at Kane Center for the Arts. You may remember Mandy Gonzalez from her roles in Hamilton and Wicked. This is a black tie optional celebration. All-inclusive tickets include dinner and the show. Happy anniversary, Kane Center. Some of the upcoming Kane Center performances include Rocky Lynn, Forever Young, Jeff Allen, and even a Stunt Dogs experience. To see the entire lineup and to purchase your tickets, visit kanearts.org. That's SAINarts.org. This is the last week of the season to see more than 5 million Christmas lights at one time. Speedway Christmas is happening daily until Sunday. The show is open 6 to 10 p.m., rain or shine. The Infield Christmas Village is open Thursday through Sunday nights. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The fun ends Sunday. For tickets, visit charlottemotorspeedway.com. Birkdale on Ice is still going on through January 28th. Time to lace up your skates and hit the ice. To make sure you can skate when you want, we recommend you making a reservation. For skate session info, including times and pricing, visit birkdalevillage.com. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Well, starting with sunshine, but the clouds thickening up as we head into our Friday evening. A chilly afternoon on the way with highs in the mid-40s. As we go into our Saturday, a cold rain on the way, which could actually start as a little bit of freezing rain early in the morning, making for some elevated slick surfaces like railings and steps and possibly even some slick bridges early on Saturday before transitioning into a cold rain for the afternoon. We're drying it out again by Saturday night. And that's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Now, more We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicki Sawyer on the new 105.9, 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicki Sawyer and David. I'd like to be part of our show, 844 Studio 4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News website, YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn. We do actually have a caller, our first caller of the year. William, welcome to back to We're Just Saying. How are you?
Happy New Year to you good people. How are y'all?
Happy New Year,
Happy
sir.
New Year.
Listen, Vicki,
Sir.
want to congratulate you last year for your well-doings on part of helping the budget of North Carolina.
Thank you.
We're representing, the state of North Carolina is representing for all over for the low 48. We're setting the standard.
Thank you.
And it's because of you, Vicki.
Oh, well,
and others.
That's kind of, thank you for saying and others,
Listen,
because, yeah, go ahead.
Hypothetically speaking, you're running for the Oval Office. What are you going to tell yourself? Because it's about you as well as it is about us as American people. What are you going to tell us that you would do if you get elected in the Oval Office as President of the United States of America?
I would stick to one diet for the entire year. There's going to be a lot of pictures being made, I think. And I'm going to have to go and see, and I can't let Nikki Haley outshine me. So
don't set your skills too high.
I joke. Gosh, you know what? I don't know. That's a really good, thoughtful question. I don't have an answer to because David.
I know it's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I know it's a loaded question, but see, that's my point, Vicki, is that you guys got a lot of things done, got a lot of things accomplished, and a lot of money went distributed out with the state in a lot of good ways. And that's being productive, and that's getting some things done. And none of the candidates, not even Donald Trump himself. Now, we know what he did when he was in office the last 4 years. He spent a lot of his time fighting to stay in because they didn't want him in the first place. And that's what it's going to be again if he were to be elected back in again in 24 later this year. But that being said, Donald Trump and all the rest of the hopeful candidates have not said anything about what they're really actually going to do if they get elected into office for us as the country to try to make things better. Because there are a lot of fires out there, as all we know, and we're not going to put them out, and we're not going to put them out tomorrow, and we're not going to put them out the day after tomorrow. It's going to take some time. But nobody is talking about doing that. And I just was curious because I know you're getting things done, and the actions sometimes speak louder than words. And you haven't really, I mean, of course, you've said some things that you were going to do and you followed through. But just doing it, Vicki, like you did last year, shows what kind of person you are.
Oh,
And that's the reason why I asked you that question.
thank you, William. Thank
William,
you so
thanks
much.
so much. And thank you for the call. It's great to have you back on.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and you guys take care, and we're going to be informative and have a good, prosperous year. I'm hopeful for it.
I
So.
appreciate that.
100%. Happy New Year, William.
Happy
Thanks
New
a lot.
Year.
So he's starting off with a nice compliment
That is
there for the
great.
year.
I need to take William to Raleigh with me.
Yeah,
He can just
you
be
do.
like my
Or
hype man.
Make him your press secretary.
Yeah, he could be like my hype man, you know,
Yeah.
like.
But no, but he raises a good point, right? On the presidential election side, so many times when the candidates are up there, you know, we've got to do something about this. Okay, well, like what? Well, no, but we just got to do something about it. Well, okay, like what? And so, you know, it's short on specific, you know, it's long on rhetoric, short on specifics for a lot of them. And William makes a valid point. It's like, you know, drill down and you know, get some specifics, right? What are you actually going to do for these people? And that is, I think, one of the luxuries you have at the state government level, right? Because you actually can, you know, you actually do listen and hear from your constituents, and you actually do make an effort to get things done about them. Now, does it always pan out? No, but the times that it does, you know, it's because of your hard work and trying to push things through. So, see, starting off the new year, you know, a nice phone call and everything like that. But I still feel like at some point we're going to get somebody to call to yell at you.
Yeah, I'm sure it's coming. But I do want to say probably my biggest pet peeve. Can I talk about my pet peeve? I don't know if
It is your show.
I don't know if it's absolutely anything I can specifically do about, but something that I agree with Vivek Ramaswamy and also Donald Trump is we have empowered state and federal agencies to become quasi lawmakers without any oversight. I mean, they do have this rules committee review, but it almost feels like when you elect a politician, you really aren't going to be able to change whether it's a Republican or Democrat or whoever that person is, because unless you can start taking away power from those bureaucrats, then all of this is for naught. It's like a show. I mean, really, as hard as I work at this is a part-time gig for me. It's a full-time job for those people who work in Raleigh and in DC, and they have ideas and they have goals and they set rules that you and I have to follow, almost like law. And although they're not a law where the sheriff can come and arrest you, they're a rule where the Department of Revenue can, or our IRS can make your life a heck of a mess over some rule that an unelected bureaucrat made without public input. I don't know how to fix that, but for me, I would like to really take back some of the power from the agencies that we've handed over. No, absolutely. And I remember when you first got down there, when we started talking, when you were really first in your first session, and you were trying to, you know, hey, you were got to get this done, got to get this. And then how many times you really ran up against the brick wall of these agencies that were like, well, no, that's just, that's the rule. That's how we do it. Yeah. And we're not changing the rule. And the only way you could actually change the rule was through legislation to get them to change the rule. Right. And it was just a constant battle and fight to actually, you think something that is so relatively small turns into a complete act of legislation just to get them to change. And that's why I talk about, here's term limits. Yay, term limits. Let's get those electeds out. Well, if you're going to term limit electeds, you better darn well term limit bureaucrats and lobbyists, because all you're doing is handing over the control of your government to full-time paid lobbyists and full-time paid bureaucrats, because they're called themselves weebies. In other words, they look at politicians and say, we be here when you got here, we be here when you gone. Yep. And unless you have some time within this office and learning how to navigate those bureaucracies, then you basically are ineffective. And if you're artificially term limited, in other words, you know, I feel like we have term limits every 2 years, right, as an election. Then they're going to control everything. And then where are you at? Yep. Right? And then where are you at? So I struggle with that term limit thing, because I see the inner workings of government. And speaking of which, let's talk about the inner workings of parties. Yeah. So now Biden is the only pick on Democrat thing, and now deep state people are trying to take Trump off of this. I mean, where does that, to my point, where does this all come around, and how do we as people have our voices heard and not muffled through bureaucrats and through political parties.
No, 100%. And I think that the challenges, I mean, if you look at like, for several weeks back, we had our 10th district convention. You and I have attended a number one of those. I just rolled off as vice chair. And it was amazing to me because the way, for example, voting is allocated and things like that. People sometimes don't realize the intricacies and the rules of the inner workings of these parties. Whereas you can come in and you can actually be, a person who receives the most votes, but because of weighting and population, you actually lose.
Right.
And there's number of, and it's similar in our, from president, every party.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Every party in state chooses their presidential candidate differently. We have caucuses, we have primaries. And really what's amazing is people go and they cast their votes, but really it's not their vote that is selecting the person. It is the delegates that represent maybe the particular population area, because we have in some states, like they always joke that, like, I think it's Rhode Island that has or there's some state, I can't remember if it's Rhode Island or if it's New Hampshire or if it's Maine, if it's somewhere, but there's some little outlying area that always you get one vote. One electoral vote from, because of the proportionality and voting is weighted towards. So that's always very interesting, but it's a really the one man, one vote, one woman, one vote. Really, in primaries, it's not really that way.
When you and I were doing some show prep at 10:59, we were looking at how delegates are chosen through the primary to go to the convention. So, many years I've watched the convention and seen everything, and I understood why people wanted to be there, because they cast their ballot for whomever they think is the top one. But actually it's the delegates who choose who the party's person's going to be. So in other words, if Biden were to not wake up tomorrow, not to saying I wish that on the man, but just he is kind of old.
Yeah.
I mean, he's in the twilight of his life, right? So if tomorrow doesn't come for him, then how does the Democratic Party choose their presidential nominee? Well, it's not that really big deal, because it'll be at their convention. Regardless of who you voted for, they can choose whomever they want.
Yeah, and that's what's amazing about this to me is that if something were to happen, or if Biden were to decide to withdraw, right, it is too late to put anyone else on these ballots. So then you go to the convention where the delegates that were elected at their state party convention will cast the ballot for who that person is. Now, I'll be fair, that would make for some good TV.
Yeah.
I mean, a contested convention would really make for some good TV, I think. Yeah. But it's like similar to the way state senators in North Carolina used to be chosen. They would be chosen by, it wasn't by election, it was by delegate, right?
Oh,
it was to the,
David.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking
David.
Congressmen were appointed from the state houses from which they came.
Gotcha.
And so they weren't actual votes. So that's the way it used to be, right? Yeah. So there's all these convoluted methods, and I think a lot, and we were reading some stuff for you, and it was like, and I remember looking at that saying, wow, this is really complicated.
It is. It's math.
Yeah, and I don't do math.
David doesn't do, and you barely did history there too, but you tried.
You know what? I was rebounding.
You rebounded quite well.
I was trying to get my thoughts straight. Just because, I mean, look, to be fair, it is not easy to carry this show. It is not easy to carry this show. I have a lot on me, and texts are coming fast and furious, and I'm trying to stay focused, and then I've got you yelling at me about getting a point of history wrong.
It was not a yell.
It was. I think it was a yell.
It was a rebel yell.
It came across as a yell to me.
Okay. Well,
that's all. Maybe my volume here is too high on my headset.
Good rebound, David.
No, I appreciate that. You're listening to We're Just Saying on WSIC News. We'll be right back.
We're Just Saying with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer will return after this short break on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Folks, you know Randy Marion sells vehicles the King of Price way, but did you know our service department? We service vehicles the King of Price way. We sell tires, we sell brakes, we sell batteries, we sell the maintenance. We help you keep your vehicle on the road safe, ready to drive. Whatever the season is, Randy Marion Service Departments have you covered. Come see us today because, folks, again, you know we sell the King of Price way and we do service the King of Price way.
King of Price, RandyMarionStatesville.com.
Well, starting with sunshine, but the clouds thickening up as we head into our Friday evening. A chilly afternoon on the way with highs in the mid-40s. As we go into our Saturday, a cold rain on the way, which could actually start as a little bit of freezing rain early in the morning, making for some elevated slick surfaces like railings and steps and possibly even some slick bridges early on Saturday before transitioning into a cold rain for the afternoon. We're drying it out again by Saturday night. And that's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Looking for a great way to say thank you to your employees? Connect with your customers or send a holiday gift. Black Powder Coffee can customize a coffee and tea basket or box for you. And don't miss out on Black Powder Coffee's Holiday Blend. A smooth flavor profile with a bright beginning, buttery caramel, and baked chocolate finish. Black Powder Coffee, 261 Rolling Hill Road, or online at blackpowdercoffee.com.
Tilly Harley-Davidson is simply the best, and their service department is second to none. Right now, 1K, 5K, and 10K M8 service is only $351.25 plus tax, including SIN 3 and heavy gear oil. Stop by to schedule your next service or online at TillyHD.com. Be road ready with Tilly of Statesville.
Hi, this is Andy with Lake Mountain Coffee, located at 110 West Broad Street in Statesville. Did you know we also own and operate Statesville's first coffee roasting facility? We roast coffee beans for businesses, fundraising events, special occasions such as a wedding. We can even put a custom message on the back of your bags. If you're a company or simply someone with a coffee need, give us a call at 704-252-1886. And remember, if you want fresh, you must go local.
Call now to speak with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer at 844-STUDIO-4. It's a We're Just Saying on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Welcome back to We're Just Saying on WSIC News Radio with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. Like to be part of our show, 844-STUDIO-4. We are still streaming live on the WSIC News website, YouTube, Facebook, X, LinkedIn, all points in between. So obviously, we're in a new year, but but it's time to. We were just talking, about voting before. Now it's time to actually start getting some votes in, right? Absentee ballot time.
Absentee ballot time. Woohoo! It starts soon.
Yeah, it does. So what is it? When would it
January. You can start requesting your absentee by mail coming in the next couple weeks, and I'll get you the date. Sorry, it's supposed to be right here. But remember, the primary is March 5th, and yes, your vote does count. Then it is by January 19th is when you can start requesting absentee ballots.
And they must be in by, what'd you say, for
Tuesday? Election day.
Election day. Have to be in by election day. Yep, and that was actually a good change.
I think so.
So that, people aren't waiting what was it at one point? 3 days after?
Well, during COVID, they extended it, remember?
Yeah, 10 days.
Yeah.
Which was just insane.
Right. That's another example of an unelected board making big decisions without political input.
Absolutely. But you all passed a very nice elections bill, just for sponsored by our good friend Gray Mills, who's also running for Congress.
Yes.
Sponsored that. A lot of good things in that. One of that was that the absentee ballot had to be in by election day, which, we've talked about before on the show. I'm not sure exactly who would have a problem with that. Well, I do know who has problems with that, but I don't know. There's no real logical reason as to why someone would have a problem with that. But another good. So
you mean if you don't turn your homework in on time, you can't get graded? Is that? I mean, that's
the way it was when I was in school.
I mean, me too. Unless you had a slack teacher, right?
I had those.
Did you?
I had those. I mean, I had several Democrat teachers who were slack in that regard. So, I mean, it's like, oh, yeah, get it in when you want to get it in. It's fine. But actually, it's funny. I did have a professor who in college when I was at Charlotte, we went in. It was a intro to business because I had started as a marketing major, and then I had to take calculus twice, and I withdrew twice, and I couldn't pass that. I changed my major, but because Coble does not do math.
Yes.
But
Coble doesn't do calculus.
Yeah, doesn't do calculus. No, he does not at all. But came in and he was going through the syllabus. And this was actually my first experience with somebody who came from a business background,
Sure.
right? And everything like that, who was not a professor by trade, but came in and he was going through the syllabus and he said attendance. And he looked up and he goes, attendance. He goes, look, I don't care whether you come to this class or not. He said, he goes out in the real world, you got to show up for work. If you don't show up for work, you're fired. If you don't show up for this class, you're going to fail. He said, so I'll leave it to you to decide whether or not you're going to come or not.
Strong.
And so I was just like, okay, that, perfectly clear. So, but it was a fun class, so I didn't mind going to it.
Yeah.
But he was like, for deadlines on homework and stuff like that, he was like, you don't have to turn it in at this time. I'll fail you if you don't, but you are welcome to try to turn it in after.
Yeah.
And that's just sort of the way he was about things, which I sort of appreciated.
So no passed away grandmas or dog ate homework or my roommate puked on it because they got drunk last night. None of that
None
stuff.
of that. None of that. And there could have been one or two instances of certain things of that, but no, not even remotely an excuse.
And so now the law says that you too cannot blame someone else for your procrastination.
Exactly.
Right.
You must have it in by election day, which again, I think is the way it should be. But you can also track you can track your absentee ballot, which I think a lot of people don't realize there's a site called Ballot Tracks that once you have sent it and everything like that, you can track where it is and that it's arrived, and will update and tell you that your absentee ballot has arrived.
And it actually will text you as well too, because I had ordered an absentee ballot just because I was one, or for family, and I was able to track it. I wanted to see how the process worked. I might do it again just to make sure. Also, so that I can avoid electioneering.
Yes. That's avoid electioneering.
Well, we were talking about earlier yard signage and election signs. And another thing that is controversial.
I'm really surprised that wasn't the thing that you said you would do as president. William teed you up very nicely.
That
you missed an opportunity to say the first thing out of the gate you would do is issue your executive order against campaign signs.
Yeah, I missed the opportunity. And electioneering at polling locations.
And electioneering at polling stations. See, you missed your chance.
That's why I'll never be president. I can't think quickly enough on my feet. But no, those of you who want to vote but you don't enjoy the electioneering, in other words, that means like people like me who are standing out there and asking you to vote for them, and you just don't want to be around that, then you can order an absentee ballot. It comes to your house. You can fill it out. Now, there's a caveat because before it just had one witness signature. Now you have to have two witness signatures. So you'd have to have two people sign off to say that you are who you are saying. And then, or you can get a notary public. No, I said that wrong.
Notary public.
Thank you. To sign and witness your signature. So there are two options there. You can turn it back in and you can track it online or by text. They'll send you text that it has been received. So that's a great way to do it. Now, something else is cool. So there are thoughts that maybe folks are falsifying their witness on their absentee ballot. So say I got my ballot, I signed, but I didn't get two independent witnesses to sign it off. So how do you figure that out? Well, the state law has now tasked the State Board of Elections to pick 10 counties. And in those 10 counties, they're going to pilot different software. There's a signature verification software that will absolutely take the signature that is as your witness on that absentee ballot and compare it to, say, the signature on your ID, your license, or your signature on other forms of identification that are government. And so now in those 10 counties, those ballots are not going to be treated any differently than any other ballot. So if the software says there's an issue, it's been directed that the ballot still counts, right? So it's not like going to treat one differently than the other. It's just piloting software. And this is just for the primary. If it turns out to be successful and work, that's something that we in the short session in Raleigh can pass a law and to say that it should be used in the presidential election. I'm excited to see how the pilot works.
Yeah, that will be interesting to see how many, what it catches and what it doesn't. And then obviously the verification afterwards, right? Because it is just, like you said, it's a pilot program, but that will be interesting to see. And I can already hear, some people worried about, my signature being compared and stuff like that. It's like, look, folks, the horse has left the barn on that. Your signature is out there. If you've ever signed anything, your signature electronically exists somewhere.
Right.
And I mean, I pretty much electronically sign pretty much everything these days through DocuSign or whenever I get documents and things like that that I've got to sign, I largely use those things.
Me too.
And with my signature on them. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out and see, I'm sort of a little bit of a tech geek anyway. Stuff like that fascinates me. So I'll be interested to see how that software tracks.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited that we're trying to do something to make sure that those votes who are counted count legally. This is something that was long overdue, and we saw actually during a congressional election not too long ago in the 9th District where absentee ballots were being manipulated for the advantage of one candidate versus another. So this, again, is seeing that in theory, the theory is that there may be some issues with harvesting of ballots, absentee ballots, and this is a way to stop that from happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Another interesting thing on elections, obviously you don't have a primary, but you do have a general.
I do.
A general election opponent, and your general election opponent found their way to NBC News.
Yeah,
your race made national headlines, Vicky.
It did.
No, I don't think your name was barely mentioned in the story.
It was, so you hear about these things where politicians complain about biased media, and you're like, oh, they're just whining, So when I say this tongue in cheek, but it was because I understand the game. So there was a national reporter from NBC News who actually came to Davidson, the town of Davidson, and did a on the street kind of report with a candidate that's running against me. And great, it was well shot and great and funny actually in certain areas. Kudos to some cute quips. So he had it all produced, and then I got the email like a day before, and a deadline later about how I'm supposed to respond to this. Dude, you're like 5 miles away from my house, and you come all the way down from a national bureau to do a report, and you talk to the Democrat, and then you email the Republican a day before a deadline and ask for me to give a statement. And when I do, you use like a very minimal part of the statement as reverb. And I'm like,
but there's no bias in media. There's no bias in media.
No,
actually, I think it would have been funny is if you had missed the email. Well, we reached out to Senator Sawyer for comment, but she could not get back to us before our deadline. What's she hiding? What's she hiding?
What is she hiding? Is she afraid?
Obviously,
very
maybe this Democrat has a better chance than people think. Yeah, Democratic groups, please send money and lots of it. Man, and that's what's funny. So I started my career in PR, doing corporate PR stuff, and it always infuriated me because we would be in the office and a reporter, you could always tell the reporters who hated the industry or the bank. I was at a bank that they were reporting on, and we would get that kind of stuff all the time. Hey, I've got a 5 p.m. deadline. It's like 2:30 in the afternoon. We need to comment about this. We understand this. We need to comment by 5.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, how am I supposed to get you a comment by 5 when I'm just now seeing this? And by the way, you didn't attach the full story. All you told me was the gist of what you were running. We'd like you to comment. What am I supposed to say?
I know.
It's like you got done that way, Vicky. That was awesome.
I know. I'm like, okay, I'm big time now. Now I see. But that again, I think I said to you before the show, I love this gig that I have because I get to learn so much about how the world works from the whole entire gamut. And when you hear about national reporting and you hear other people complain about the biases towards Republicans, it's almost kind of like ho-hum drum, you just keep hearing it over and over and over again. And then when it happens to you, you're like, oh, I get it now. I get it. The only thing, I totally understand that, but I do have one. So today, I guess, is pet peeve day. I do have one pet peeve.
What's that?
Okay. My real name is Victoria.
Yes.
Okay. I understand that my name that's on the ballot and the name that my alias is Vicky. That name was given and spelled to me by Miss Caldwell in 6th grade in my science class. I don't spell Vicky because I chose any other way to spell it. Miss Caldwell chose it for me. That's Vickie.
Yes.
If you're going to report on me, could you kindly do Miss Caldwell a favor, rest her soul, and spell my name with an IE?
Did they give you an EY?
He gave me an I.
An I?
I'm like, or Y. I don't know. I don't care. I get it's a nickname. It's not my official name, but for the love of Miss Caldwell, can you please spell my name with an IE?
Well, clearly the way they handled this story, they're probably not, the kings of journalistic quality. So we'll be right back.
We're just saying, with NC Senator Vicky Sawyer on the way from the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Happy New Year, WSIC family. Here's your WSIC community calendar. Celebrate Kane Center for the Arts' first anniversary gala, along with Broadway star Mandy Gonzalez. Dinner and a show this Saturday at Kane Center for the Arts. You may remember Mandy Gonzalez from her roles in Hamilton and Wicked. This is a black tie optional celebration. All-inclusive tickets include dinner and the show. Happy anniversary, Kane Center. Some of the upcoming Kane Center performances include Rocky Lynn, Forever Young, Jeff Allen, and even a Stunt Dogs experience. To see the entire lineup and to purchase your tickets, visit canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. This is the last week of the season to see more than 5 million Christmas lights at one time. Speedway Christmas is happening daily until Sunday. The show is open 6 to 10 p.m., rain or shine. The Infield Christmas Village is open Thursday through Sunday nights. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The fun ends Sunday. For tickets, visit charlottemotorspeedway.com. Birkdale on Ice is still going on through January 28th. Time to lace up your skates and hit the ice. To make sure you can skate when you want, we recommend you making a reservation. For skate session info, including times and pricing, visit birkdalevillage.com. Have an event you'd like to tell people about? Yard sales, estate sales, and everything in between? Visit WSICnews.com and click on events to submit your event today.
Well, starting with sunshine, but the clouds thickening up as we head into our Friday evening. A chilly afternoon on the way with highs in the mid-40s. As we go into our Saturday, a cold rain on the way, which could actually start as a little bit of freezing rain early in the morning, making for some elevated slick surfaces like railings and steps and possibly even some slick bridges early on Saturday before transitioning into a cold rain for the afternoon. We're drying it out again by Saturday night. And that's your forecast. From the WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
It's We're Just Saying with North Carolina Senator Vicky Sawyer on the new 105.9 100.7 WSIC.
Yeah.
I like it.
This. I like this. Welcome back to We're Just Saying. Saying. See, you did that. You did that. We're Just Saying with Senator Vicky Sawyer and David. Like to be part of our show, 844 Studio 4, streaming live on the WSIC News website, Facebook page, YouTube, X, LinkedIn. I'm a consummate professional. And you just absolutely just keep screwing me up with my verbiage.
Okay.
You proud of yourself?
I'm glad we think we're funny.
I think we're
I hope other people do too.
I think we're hilarious.
Okay, good.
Granted, I'm biased, but I think we're hysterical. But going back to your story, but the actual crux of the story was she's made a joke, right, of her campaign based off her slogan. She knows she's not going to win. Her website even says, "I have no prayer."
Yeah.
But the rest of the story was that the reason she has no prayer is because you're an evil gerrymanderer and you've drawn this district to where Democrats have no chance. I think was the thrust of the story.
Yeah. So later when we talk about Rated X, then you'll see why I'm laughing so hard. So I'm going to try to make it through with a straight face because I'm trying not to say a cuss word. But so what I'll say is that when you look at my district, it is always, and if it's Stevenson ruling, it's Iredell County whole, and we have to pick up some people from other areas in order for proportionality. Before, I had all the way down to Huntersville and Cornelius. All this new district does is take away Huntersville, which arguably is probably more of a Charlotte suburb than the town of Davidson, and it moves over the town of Davidson. And so those of you who don't live in our district also know the town of Davidson, actually part of it's in Iredell County.
Mm-hmm.
It is Iredell County town of Davidson. So it's just a natural progression to include the lake community of town of Davidson and Cornelius when it works out by the numbers to include it with Iredell County. So that is what, I don't understand the big egregious thought here, like why it's such a bad deal and why, as we'll discuss later in Rated X.
I mean, at the end of the day, your goal is to subvert the vote. Everyone knows that. And, and obviously this NBC News reporter came down as a shining example of advocacy to make sure that your unfair tactics are exposed, Senator Sawyer.
Okay. So like where the town of Davidson was in before, it was they even said in the report, it's a heavily Democratic district. What about a Republican that lives in the town of Davidson? Are they have a chance of winning in that?
Yeah. Well, I think we have gerrymandering when a heavily Democratic district is never gerrymandered. A heavily Republican district is gerrymandered. Much like you are labeled as a conservative Republican, but you never hear anyone labeled as a liberal Democrat.
Oh.
See, so there's key vocabulary.
Yeah.
Senator, that you simply have not learned yet.
Okay.
In the way, obviously, because if you knew these key things, you'd be able to speak more eloquently on these things, obviously.
Yeah. So on WBT, I listen to, WSIC, but I listen to WBT a lot with Pete Callender, and he has a saying, and it's different when D's do it. It's different when Democrats do it.
It absolutely. But it's funny because for our Rated X segment, as if it just came out of nowhere, you got a little bit of an email.
Are you going to tell on me?
I am going to tell on you.
Don't tell on
me. I'm telling on you.
All
but
right.
First, we're going to go in. So you got.
So this is Rated X. And
yes.
the Rated X segment is when we look back at my communications over the week, or in this instance, a couple weeks, and we pick out those folks who are intentionally mean or gross or whatever they do to make themselves feel better in an effort to try to make me feel worse, and we make fun of them.
Exactly. And so you received a email
to my legislative account.
To your legislative account, and it was
in response to this
article and everything like that. It was two words. Two words. Gerrymandering was the first word, and that is just one word for people who want to know.
Is it spelled with an IE?
Yeah, no, it was not with an IE. Actually, it was not with a J or anything like that. It was spelled the traditional way. You gerrymandering, and then it called you a word.
See you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Yes.
Was the word
so
thrown at you.
Gerrymandering.
Yeah, see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
And we did confirm before going on the air that we could not say that word for FCC violations. Our good engineer Bill is back there going, "Oh, please don't say it! Please don't say it! We're gonna get in jail. Like YouTube jail is one thing, but this is like federal jail if we say this." But yes, it was two words, and that, in response to that. And so you responded back.
Oh.
You responded back. So you are back.
No,
you are at zero days without a workplace instance.
No. Okay. So let's go back. I was so happy because my goal was to stop responding to trolls.
Yes.
In my mind, when we started this, then that meant on social media.
See,
we have a disagreement here because I did respond to the GC comment.
Yes, you did. And you were very sweet. You said, "Thank you for sharing your thoughts and vulgar words. I truly hope by sending this email, you found a moment of joy in your day, wishing you the happiest of New Year's." Fantastic clapback.
Yeah. No,
absolutely.
It's not a clapback.
It was, all right, you know what? We have an impartial third party in our engineer, Bill. Bill, can we get a ruling?
I've said it. File the appeal, and I'll put it through the process. It could take a while. We are jammed up here a bit. There are a lot of appeals going on with other hosts.
You know what? I feel confident. So
you're gonna erase my. So that's a workplace.
Bill, my buttons don't work.
Oh,
Bill, my buttons don't work.
Send it to the same complaint department. So wait. So what you're saying is you're taking.
There it is. Yes.
So you're taking away my fourth quarter clean workplace.
Correct. You started the year with an incident. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, time start. Will it be easier to keep track?
We're back to zero.
All right. Well, I clapped back, but I thought that was a pretty good clapback.
I think as clapbacks go, it was fantastic.
Okay. Thank you.
But the spirit of this was for you to stop responding to trolls.
Yeah.
And this was clearly a troll. Now, what we don't know, did he have a Ukraine flag in his email?
No.
because that's always key. Now we need a peace symbol and a Ukraine flag.
Now, I will say the Ukraine.
Well, I assume it's a he. It was Tobrien. Tobrien. Now, obviously, Brien. Tobrien. It's not an.
Yeah.
So he obviously, maybe he suffers from the same issue.
I don't know, but I will.
Or she.
I will tell you that. So I did a great podcast. Well, the podcast is great. I'm mediocre, but there's a podcast called "Do Politics Better," and if you've listened to our show before, I've asked one of the guest hosts on there, Brian Lewis, to come and join our radio show, and so he returned the favor, and I actually did a podcast with him and Sky David. Again, it's "Do Politics Better," and you can find it. I listen to it every week.
And it's very good.
It is very good. And it's a great way to keep in touch with Raleigh as well as with this show. So when we put that out there, our whole conversation was about how to deal with trolls.
Yep.
And
I listened to it. It
now-
was fantastic.
Now I feel like I've totally undermined the entire podcast because I've had, and I still put a flag on this workplace injury. I mean, I feel like I did. I was a direct communication back to him through email.
Well, we'll see what our appeals department comes back with.
Okay.
I mean, I am willing to concede, put an asterisk next to this.
Okay.
If it was a workplace incident, it was a minor one.
Okay.
How about this? So how about we say that it was a minor incident, but we'll keep your record of no major incidents.
Okay. No, it's okay. I'll start over.
Nobody got harmed per se.
Yes.
But maybe there was an impact on productivity.
Well, you know what? There's always an impact on productivity when you respond back to people who are just plain mean.
Well,
for
yeah,
no
that's just mean.
reason.
That's not even creative.
No,
that's just mean.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if he was in his mommy's basement when he wrote that.
Oh, probably. I
Yeah.
mean that, or at a Starbucks because he doesn't want to pay for internet. It's probably that.
But a $12 coffee he can pay
oh
for.
well, priorities, right?
But not Gmail storage.
No, not. But you know what? You know what? See. You mess with the way I say words, and then you're like on my Gmail thing, and I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I do this.
You do it because it's great fun. Now, let me tell you, when we're coming up, I've had a lot of folks who are candidates asked to be on the show.
Yes.
And we are going to work through that. So look at your emails. I'm going to send you guys stuff. We ask that you don't willy-nilly call in because I'm going to try to be fair to everybody, and we'll put certain days with certain times to have candidates on and ask questions and kind of learn more about you, because I do want people from the show to learn about their local electeds and their statewide electeds. So we're going to give each and every candidate an opportunity to be on the show. And I think it's going to be great because we only have, 60 days left until the primary?
Yeah, it's a sprint. I mean, it's roughly 8 weeks, give or take. So, I mean, this and for those who are not familiar with our area, once the primary is done, the election's done.
Yeah.
Largely from at least from our Iredell County local area.
Correct.
Simply because of all the gerrymandering you've done.
Oh my God. So, but for statewide electeds, it's just the beginning,
yes,
right?
It is just the beginning.
And I do ask for you folks, when you're listening to or looking up the Republican candidates who are running statewide, think about who they're likely going to face in the fall.
Yes.
Winning a primary, all it does is ensure that you have a fight on your hand against the Democrat opponent in the fall. And who do you choose on your ballot that has the best choice of beating and winning the Democrat? Because winning the primary is good, but it isn't the best.
Well, and I think, and we've had this discussion before, right? Do you want someone who is 100% pure to what you feel someone should be, or can someone, be 90% pure and win the election, right? You want somebody who's 100% pure that can lose in a general election, or do you want somebody who's 90% pure but can win?
Right.
And and for some people, it's like, well, if they're not with me 100%, if you're not with me, you're against me, and that means 100%.
And go back and think about COVID. The problems that we had with the totalitarian regime that we had was because there were a lot of Democrat folks, especially on the Council of State, and so us as Republicans didn't have a voice. So if you're sitting there and you're trying to figure out, well, I like this guy because he said hate to me, or this person or girl because she can win, go for the one who can win, because all you have to do is look back into COVID and those draconian measures that were taken upon us and how our wings were clipped as Republicans. We need Republicans to win next year.
Absolutely. And with that, we are first show in the can for 2024.
Yeah.
Like that radio term.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on We're Just Saying with Senator Vicky Sawyer. We'll talk to you next week.
The new 1059, 100.7 WSIC, Statesville, Mooresville, North Charlotte.